Hey everyone, hope everybody is well. I am making this live stream to really clear the decks on a number of points that have to do with the extremely slow pace of redevelopment in West Oakland, and how the city of Oakland has, I think to say that the city of Oakland dragged its feet is being kind, but has done nothing. I mean, nothing to actually get going plans that have been in place now for decades to replace jobs that were lost by the closure of the Oakland Army base. I was on the original Alameda Base Reuse Committee. For those of you who may not like what I'm about to say, assuming of course you stick around to really listen to what I'm going to say, you can blame Keith Carson, our great Alameda County supervisor, for putting me on in '93. But my background's in economic development. In fact, my master's degree is in city planning from the University of California at Berkeley. And my specialization was urban economics and public finance. I designed my own planning major at the University of Texas at Arlington and at Skyline at high school. I participated in a design contest. I took, I don't know how many courses of drafting. If you ever go to Oakland City Hall, that zigzaggerate step pattern, Yuhei Lee, the architect, took that from me. Truth, all right? So I have a long history in Oakland regarding planning, economic development, and redevelopment. Here's the real problem, folks, and it's this. For a long time, the Port of Oakland has dreamed of having a deep water bulk terminal. I would talk about this with Richard Winnie. Richard Winnie is the late Alameda County Council, is a mentor of mine. And we used to meet at a place called the Cuckoo's Nest in West Oakland for breakfast monthly and talk about Oakland. Sometimes Jerry Brown would come in early in the morning. There was then, this is the early 90s, a conversation that we really haven't had today, and that's the future of the port, how much industrial development we should have. San Francisco had basically killed its port by allowing all this commercial development to spill over on it. There were a number of people in Oakland, including Richard, who said, hey, you know what, that shouldn't happen. That's our economic engine. That produces jobs for us, basic industry jobs, okay? Fast forward to today, the responsibility is still upon us to replace the jobs lost by the closure of the Oakland Army base over there. We haven't done it. Instead, the city of Oakland, which by a number of people like Fred Blackwell, for example, our great economic development director, who's now the CEO of the San Francisco Foundation, or Pat Cashman, I can name a number of city officials who knew that what is now called the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal was supposed to handle iron ore, coal, sulfur, okay? But because Tom Steyer, a former investor in coal, decided to change for some particular reason, and up and down the West Coast get involved in trying to stop, rightfully so, developments that he feels will add to the problem of global warming because of that, which he really started doing in earnest in 2013, 2014, strictly because of that, and the amount of money that he spent and also catalyzed to be spent. That project in Oakland has become stalled. Even though the developer, California Commercial Investments, has a contractual right to build, okay? And the argument has been, well, if you build it because, you know, they've got a contract with an organization in Utah and they're going to ship coal through there, oh, it's going to be this big mess. And at that point, people who don't know any better but are just normally really cool, good people. Some of them are friends of mine. What I mean by some friends, the ones I don't know are not my friends. The ones I know I like a lot, okay? So just saying that. But some of them are on the West Oakland Indicators Project. Many of them are tired of the kind of environment that has grown up along West Oakland. That environment is there because of bad planning. Because we never had a true design plan, an economic development plan that fit industrial activity with the proper environmental shields and the proper technology to make sure that the activity could be done cleanly and protect the residents at the same time. And what bothers me about this entire argument is we're supposed to be in the tech capital of the world and we cannot solve this problem. Instead, what happens is that it degenerates into lawsuits. Now, one might just say, is that because society has become anti-intellectual? Because we don't want to think about solving our problems? Because we want to demonize each other and point fingers and come up with bogus arguments all the time? Like, for example, oh, it's a coal factory. It's not a coal factory. It's a terminal that transports minerals from rail to ship and ships them off, okay? Now, a number of you say, hey, look, it's going to go to a place that produces fossil fuels. Well, hold on. People who say that, I have this question. Do you actually know what's going to happen when, for example, those shipments reach China? They're going to be used to produce steel. Why do you think you have not just coal but also iron ore going over there? It's to produce steel. You know, the kind of thing we used to make over here? Now you would say, wait a minute, that steel production and the way that it's done is dirty. Well, my point is it doesn't have to be, and even overseas, the process has gotten better in terms of its environmental impact. It can get a lot better than that. I go back to this point. Why the heck isn't anybody trying to force technical innovation in this area? And the reason why I say this so vociferously is because I really just got tired of this stuff. Someone's got to get mad. I mean, like network mad. Like, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. And we're going to have some common sense conversation. Because good economic development is about engineering a smooth transition from one type of job to the other, okay? The Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal really offers that opportunity. What we have been charged to do by the federal government giving us this land in the conveyance allows us that opportunity to create job training programs that allow people to get jobs at facilities like Oakland Global and the Oakland Bulk and Oversized Terminal when it's built. But we don't have those. Do you realize that during the 80s and the 90s, Oakland played host to as many as 127 nonprofit job training organizations fueled by the California redevelopment law? Did you know that? We don't have anything like that. You go to the City of Oakland's economic development website, do you know what you see? It tells you to get in contact with Kiva. Folks, we've outsourced our job training programs and our business assistance programs to a startup. I mean, come on. One organization that, hey, they run out of VC money, we're all screwed, right? That's what we've done. That's lazy. Okay, we've become lazy. And we ought to be collectively ashamed of ourselves that this lazy system has contributed to the development of the largest homeless population in Oakland's history, part of the largest set of homeless populations in California's history, and yet some of you out there seem to be advocating for market rate housing because you want to house the next set of tech CEOs, and I might add those who are going to take advantage of those new tech IPOs. Did you know that Uber and Lyft are set to go public? Okay? Real estate people know it in the Bay Area, and they're chomping at the bit. Meanwhile, some of you are trying to make room for them. You know it, and you know it. So you would rather advocate for dense housing, but not have any economic development program that incentivizes affordable housing. And don't tell me you're going to do it by regulation, because if you do, I'm going to call you stupid. Right up to your face. That's stupid. You incentivize affordable housing development by providing money, not regulation. Regulation has a tendency to chase people away or cause them to say, you know what, I'll give you 15 million or 20 million or 30 million so I don't have to do that regulation. So guess what? No affordable housing, all right? And you would say, what does that have to do with building a multimodal terminal at West Oakland, part of the Port of Oakland? My answer is this: everything. Because some of you, in fact, all of you, who talk against the project never, when I ask this question, I never get an answer. What do you want there in its place? Crickets, all right? Crickets. So you want to say no, but you don't want to go through the hard job of thinking about what should go there. All right? Others have done that. We've spent a lot of time on this. Some of us have done so before some of you even decided to even move to Oakland. So preferably, it would be really cool if you would jump on our bandwagon, help us build this in a way that solves two problems: the operation of existing industry, but the need to clean up existing industry for the concerns of the future, or the current and the future generations. We can do that with our technology. In fact, if you take a close look at what the Oversized terminal proposes, covered rail cars. Now, some of you have said, even written, oh, covered rail cars have never been used in the United States. You know what? You really believe that? I got some swampland in Florida I want to sell you. CSX runs them up and down the eastern seaboard and through the Midwest. Do your research. And when you find some answer that's contrary to what you want to believe or what you want people to know, you know what? Present the answer anyway. It's the intellectually honest thing to do. Because every time we delay, we create the climate for the production of more and more homeless people. We're already treating homeless as a class. When I was little, a person who couldn't make it, they sort of just bummed around on couches, right? And at some point, you got a great job, made $100,000 a year, picked yourself up because your friends helped you out, okay? And that didn't happen. And your family helped you too. Now, you have shanty towns that have developed in Oakland at a rate that is unprecedented and shameful. Someone has got to get really mad and act. And the people that have to get really mad and act are the people that make decisions, but act intelligently. Not go out and protest. Protest, what does that do? It draws attention to you protesting, but it says nothing about solving a problem. We have to take intelligent action. Let's build the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal, all right? I mean, the thing's been around. This has been around in one form or another as an idea for a long, long time. I mean, a long time. And we can do it applying the latest in technology and environmental shielding so that the residents of West Oakland have cleaner air because you have fewer trucks and fewer cars. Now, regarding global warming, riddle me this in closing. What happens when you enter a room like this one, and then more and more people come to the room? It gets hotter. It gets hotter. All right? So, if it gets hotter in that case, it stands to reason, doesn't it? I would think that the more people we have on Earth, obviously, the warmer impact we're going to have on the Earth ourselves. So at some point, we have to have a come to Jesus discussion about where we are as a planet in terms of how our population, okay, population impacts our planet. Because really, at the end of the day, it's about us, you and me, all right? Here's the good news. Some of you might look at it as bad news. 30 plus years ago, the Club of Rome initiated something called the Project on the Predicament of Mankind. And it resulted in a book called The Limits to Growth. And Limits to Growth posited a time in our future that we reach zero population growth. Folks, we're almost there, okay? We are almost at the point of zero population growth. And what I'm doing right now is I'm showing you a graph that gives you an idea of how that rate has changed. Take a look at this, okay? Here, annual world population growth rate, 1950 to 2000 to 2100, excuse me. You see these rates, right? We are now at 2000, which would place us right about 2020 here, okay? There. And it continues to go down. So we reach zero here, or near zero. But what does it mean when we get there, okay? It means that we got there because in part of our resource use, but also increases in worldwide rates of education per nation. The better the rate of education, the less likely people are to have a lot of kids. And then comes the tech part, where we reduce our carbon footprint per person. But at some point, we have to say, all right, if we're reaching that point of zero population growth, where do we reach that, and where is the line that reflects technical improvements that reduce emissions on a per person basis? I would argue we're headed in that direction, but we have to keep up the pressure to get there so that we can slow down this problem. We can get there through technical applications in every aspect of life, including heavy industry, industrial operations. You don't just stop the operation because there's somebody else that's making money from it. And you know what? That's okay. The question is, from a standpoint of a good economic development officer, what do you do to, again, incentivize those persons to alter how they do things? You have to have government subsidies. You have to have a comprehensive program. You can't just say what's going to happen because we're pressuring people and we're bad-mouthing them, we're throwing things at them. No, that's not the way to go. That actually produces a countervailing power. Okay. And by the way, a fantastic book on countervailing power is Within the New Industrial State, the classic book by John Kenneth Galbraith, one of my intellectual heroes, but I digress. we need to get back on track of intellectually understanding what's happening and acting. Forget the sloppy comments, forget the pseudoscience that's tossed around with a number of projects, and particularly by those, I hate to say it, that have been against the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal project. They have said all kinds of ridiculous things. They have shut out the people who are trying to build this, who are my friends, okay? Badmouth them, threaten their lives in many cases. And so yeah, I decided to jump in and act and provide a platform. Enough is enough. We must, as a city of Oakland, rediscover our great economic development planning strategies and systems and infrastructure and people. Not what we have right now, which is lazy. We've got to get back to doing work. We've got to get back to encouraging development of all kinds and producing jobs for everybody, not just tech jobs. We have a 35% underemployment rate in Oakland. Think about that the next time you use your app to call an Uber ride or a Lyft ride. That person, that car you're getting into, that's part of that 35% underemployment rate. People who aren't getting jobs that pay them at a rate commensurate with their education experience levels. That's shameful. And yet we say, oh, everybody's like one paycheck away from homelessness, or, you know, you're just too late in all this, and you're constantly in peril, as if that's a thing to be rather than a situation to fix. All right? We have to get back to good economic planning and understanding that government exists to correct market forces, not enhance them. Many progressives have enhanced market forces and arguably created the problem we have today. And that is why you have the rise of democratic socialists, which, if you start looking at democratic socialists, start to look a great deal like classic neoconservatives, especially with respect to two ideas: the guaranteed standard of income, the guaranteed minimum standard of income, and the negative income tax. All right? We got to get back to old-fashioned thinking, folks. We got to start working again, and we can do it. Do it with me. Thanks.